Good morning. My name is Mary Cochran. I'll be your worship associate this morning. Our minister, Reverend Ed Prue, is off this week, and we are very happy to have Reverend Dan King back with us again. Reverend Dan is now retired after 22 years of professional ministry in Georgia, Massachusetts, Virginia, and finally in Texas, where he is currently an affiliated minister with the Row UU congregation in Fort Bend, and he is minister emeritus of the First Parish Church in Kingston, Massachusetts. Before finding professional ministry, Reverend Dan was Attorney Dan, having graduated from UT Austin Law. We want to welcome him to our pulpit this morning. Each Sunday, the members of our lay pastoral ministry team are here in the sanctuary during the service to listen to any immediate pastoral care needs you might have and assist you with connecting to additional support if you would like. You can tell the members by their yellow name tags, and many are here today. If you're on the team and you'll be able to talk to people in the event that today's service or anything else in their lives is causing them concern, would you please stand up or wave your arms or something so we can recognize you? Yes. Any visitors that are here today, if you fill out the yellow card you see in the pew in front of you, front and back, we'll be happy to put you on our mailing list. You will get 2 emails a week, keeping you in touch with what's going on here at Emerson, and welcome. We're delighted you're here. And now, yes, one more announcement. Please don't forget to sign up for the stewardship dinner on October 4th. There should have been something in your e-blast about that. And now, please enjoy our prelude as we formally begin our service. As we gather in community, we look within ourselves and to each other for strength, restoration, and inspiration, so that as we journey together, we catch the spark of the eternal Spirit, and from that spark, we light our chalice flame. Lighting the chalice symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong, and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of all who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. As Jill Rose lights our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or a chalice of your own. Brother James is an award-winning contemporary poet, novelist, and Dominican friar living in San Antonio and teaching on spiritual matters. He was our guest speaker here during Poetry Month. Please join me in reading these words together as they appear on your screen. Let us put down our burdens for a while. Let us gather flowers and prepare a meal. Joining together, let us remember our ancestors today. This is the time when we step out of time. As we work to create beloved community, we welcome all who would join us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us in growing in mind, heart, and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. We welcome all who would join their purposes to ours in a spirit of loving and right relationship. Please join me in our welcoming. The words are on the screen. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. And now we have our presentation of This Week in Unitarian Universalist History with Richard Gummins.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning. From Frank Schulman's book, I've picked some items for the week of 9/8 through 9/14. And on the 7th of September in 1647, the book or pamphlet, 12 Arguments Against the Deity of the Holy Spirit by John Biddle, was burned at Westminster Square in London. Biddle is considered the father of English Unitarianism. And on the 11th in 1832, the Transcendentalist Ralph Waldo Emerson, our namesake, submitted his letter of resignation to the proprietors of the Second Church in Boston, Unitarian. He decided to seek another situation, either in another church or a new profession. And lastly, on the 14th of September in 1638, John Harvard died at the age of 31. He was a congregational minister in Charlestown, Massachusetts, who left numerous books and some money to a college newly mandated in Newtown, Massachusetts. The school was then renamed in his honor, and the town's name changed to Cambridge. Harvard College became a center of Unitarian intellectualism and the dominant training ground for the Unitarian ministry. Reverend Dan?
Thank you, Richard. From that tradition, we have developed what is called congregational polity and other forms of being a little different. And one of those forms of being different is to allow for freedom of the pulpit. So today I would like to share with you some words from a different source. It's called The Debate We Still Need to Have, written by William Barber, who is a bishop, and Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove in response to some of the events of this week. I thought it was something we could all learn from. It starts, political violence has no place in a democracy. Neither does religious nationalism. When the young man in Utah decided to murder Charlie Kirk this week, He tried to silence a debate about the future of America that depends on the assumption of equality, a commitment to liberty, and respect for human life. In a volatile moment, Republicans and Democrats should be speaking with one voice to condemn political violence in America. Unfortunately, that is not true. We must mourn the murder of Charlie Kirk because every life is precious. We mourn a political assassination because it makes this nation less safe for everyone. We must also grieve because the shooter cut short the debate that we still need to have. One of the tragedies of this week's violence is it makes it harder to have the honest conversation that's needed about the role of Christianity, the inspiration and words of Jesus, and how those are compatible or not with American politics as we know them. Because one troubled young man thought he could decide who should live and who should die, we will never get to have that honest, open debate with the man named Charlie Kirk. But it is a debate we can and must have if we want to repair the deep divides in American society. If we follow Jesus, we must practice nonviolence. We are called to love our enemies, even when they do things that hurt us and the people we love. We believe the religious nationalism that he vigorously advocated was dangerous. Even as we mourn his death, we maintain that conviction. Now is the time to embrace his family, his wife, and his children with the sincerity of grace. But in time, we can and must have a reasoned public debate about his understanding of the Christian faith. As the prophet Isaiah said, "Come, let us reason together." Honest dialogue is essential to a healthy society, as we know. Those of us who know Jesus did not recognize the religion Kirk worked to teach our youth. When his organization published watch lists that included professors, we heard from them about the harassment and threats they received from Kirk's supporters. Where Jesus taught that love casts out fear, Kirk encouraged Christians to see themselves as victims who should fear liberal influence. Where Jesus thought a path of repentance, Kirk embraced reactionary movements that denied America's past sins of racial injustice and policies that aimed, however imperfectly, to address those past harms. Where Jesus taught that if you live by the sword, you will die by the sword, Kirk embraced the NRA agenda to escalate gun sales by promoting fear and hatred. Where Jesus said that every nation will be judged by how we treat the most vulnerable among us, Kirk tried to sanctify the slashing of government programs and to ignore the cries of the people who are harmed by those attacks. Where Jesus set up free health clinics everywhere he went, Charlie Kirk embraced a political agenda that is cutting Medicaid, gutting funding for rural hospitals, and denying millions of Americans access to health care. We never questioned the sincerity of Kirk's commitment to his view of religious nationalism that we must oppose. Like us, he was the heir of an America where Scripture has been used to argue both for and against slavery, both for and against women's suffrage, both for and against Jim Crow, both for and against action on climate change, both for and against civil rights for all people. But in the free and open debate, which is welcome in our society, where people have the chance to hear both sides, we know that the truth is the light, and the truth must set all of us free. For many decades, Christianity has been misused and abused to recruit Christians into an authoritarian movement that is undermining the best of American values. We understand it to be our duty to make the case for a Christianity that actively works for love, justice, and for mercy for all, and for a public policy that ensures liberty and justice for all. We're sorry we will never get to have that debate with Charlie Kirk, but we remain committed to having it with anyone who will listen. Indeed, the Christian faith requires it. Tomorrow, Monday, September 15th, the Moral Monday Allies will join in a national call for nonviolence with a webcast at 10 a.m. Central Time. We know democracy must be built on justice, not destruction and death. Tomorrow is the 62nd anniversary of the Baptist Church bombing on 16th Street in Montgomery. And so faith leaders, artists, and impacted people will showcase how the same hateful forces are now manifesting through ICE raids, health care cuts, and more horrific acts of political violence, of which Charlie Kirk's murder is only the most recent example. I invite you to consult the website for the Moral Monday or the Repairers of the Breach to determine if and when and how you may want to join in their movement. I move on. Today, we must acknowledge that our history is a shared and harmful one because our congregation's buildings are situated on the home of the Karankawa and the Atakapa peoples for at least 2,000 years before European settlers arrived and very nearly brought about the end of all Aboriginal peoples on this continent. Maybe we can recognize, uplift, and support Indigenous voices and communities in our work as a congregation. Our opening words today are from Ralph Waldo Emerson. You may have heard of him. Each time we are gathered, we hear words from one of the 6 sources of Unitarian Universalism. Emerson, living in the 19th century in these United States, was a prolific writer, thinker, and at one point a Unitarian minister, as we just heard from Richard. The words this morning are a poem excerpted from one of his masterworks called Self-Reliance. It is reading number 556 in your gray hymnal. Please join me as we listen to these words. These roses under my window make no reference to former roses or to better ones. They are for what they are. They exist with God today. There is no time to them. There is simply the rose. It is perfect in every moment of its existence. Before one leaf bud has burst, its whole life is acting. Into the full-blown flower there is no more. Into the leafless root there is no less. Its nature is satisfied, and it satisfies nature in all moments alike. But man postpones or remembers. We do not live in the present, but reverted eye, lamenting the past, or heedless of the riches which surround us. We stand on tiptoe to foresee the future. We cannot be happy and strong until we also live with nature in the present, above time. And now, with our chalice lit and our hearts and minds centered, we invite you to join your voices with ours in celebration by singing a traditional hymn of the last half century in Unitarian Universalism. It is called Morning Has Broken. You may stand if you are comfortable doing so, or you may stay seated, but please help us raise our voices and sing.
Blackbird has flown.
Emerson collects an offering each week like many other communities of faith, but our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and an important way to live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our September Share the Plate recipient, the Women's Home. For almost 70 years, the Women's Home has been building communities that strengthen women and support families as they reclaim their stability. The Women's Home envisions a world in which every woman embraces her unique value and potential for a life filled with love, dignity, and purpose. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to our wonderful community partner, Interfaith Ministries' Meals on Wheels program, which uses our donated treasures to provide meals to thousands of Houston's homebound seniors each and every day. You can go to our webpage for giving, put a cash or check in our offering basket, or mail a check to the church. During the offering music, if there are any children here and they would like to attend their RE class, they can follow their teacher to the classroom.
This is the time we set aside for the purposes of reflection and meditation, and for those who would care to, a moment of prayer. Please take this moment, this time, to let go of your concerns, to let go of what burdens you, and to find a moment of respite.
The words for our second reading today come from Rabindranath Tagore, who is considered by many to be the greatest writer in modern Indian literature. Born in Bengal in the mid-1800s, he was a poet, novelist, educator, and a Nobel laureate for literature in 1913. Here are his words for your consideration this morning. They are entitled Stream of Life. Again, if you'd like to reference it for yourself, it is reading number 529 in the Gray Hymnal. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and of death, in ebb and in flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood this moment.
What is religion? I have an extended quote from a spirit who is always in these walls, a guy named Frank Schulman. In his book, collection of sermons given in this church, there's a chapter called Religious Experience. Frank Schulman says, religion is belief, how you see the universe, how you view your relation to other people. Religion is learning. In our schools and colleges, we teach people what others have said. The wisdom of the past have much that can benefit us. But religion must be got firsthand. It must be experienced. Some people study religion and think that's religion. It isn't. It's one thing to know about religion, another to feel it. So religion is not just belief, it's not just ethics or duty, it's more than knowledge. Those things for religion to be fully experienced are needed, and they are so obvious they require no further convincing, but they are not religion. Religion is experience. Indeed, sometimes religion may leave us while we discuss it. Books show us only the shadow of religion, the ghosts of faith. Neither theological colleges, nor historic cathedrals, nor Gothic architecture can give us more than the ghost of religion. Carl Jung said that for many people, religion is a substitute for religious experience. An interesting distinction, Frank said. But now this idea of religious experience needs to be qualified. When we speak of experience, we think of the mystics and saints. William James wrote the great work called The Varieties of Religious Experience. He wrote a valuable book, but he took religious experience and studied it. Others can read the book and think, but I have had no such experiences, therefore I'm not truly religious. If we read of the mystic experiences of Paul or Thomas Aquinas, those saints, and we think, I'm not like them, so I must not be religious. Well, what do you conclude then is true of you? Are you not really religious because you don't have those profound experiences that are what are called epiphanies, experiences of God direct? That God must be revealed only to a few, not including us. The urgings toward religion made by preachers and evangelists can be discouraging for ordinary people like us. We are apt to conclude that we are not religious, that we are not among those who are privileged. But Frank said, I want to make clear that we, all of us, do have religious experiences, but our learning sometimes causes us to doubt it. The poet William Blake, several centuries ago, wrote, "To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Eternity, God, religion, beauty, and joy, they are there all the time." And the other poet of our time, of the 19th century, William Wordsworth, wrote, "My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky." Let me back up a little bit. When Reverend Ed called me on Monday to ask me if I would cover today's sermon, his voice was a little strained. It was, a short time frame. But I was able to accept his invitation to be with you because I had just shared a sermon for the Thoreau folks, which I thought might be useful for this congregation also. The topic that was chosen for me by a winning bidder at the church auction last spring, I thought was relevant to most Unitarian Universalists that I know. It is my job, I think, as a minister to try to share some theological perspectives from my years in seminary, from my own reading, and of course, from my personal experiences. But getting this topic gave me a good excuse to organize my impressions and do more reading and reflection. The winning bidder had suggested the topic, Little Altars Everywhere. So I went online to buy the book that I found with that title. I happen to have it right here. Let me give you some context about this book. The author is Rebecca Wells, who was born 73 years ago in Alexandria, Louisiana. So she's a Southerner, and she's a contemporary in my cohort. Old. From her background, she writes authentically using dialect about a dysfunctional farm family in the 1960s. I could identify. I grew up on a farm in the 1960s. Her lead character is one of 4 siblings who are subject to abusive parents who are raging alcoholics. My dad was an alcoholic. The common response of those children, as for me and my siblings, was to develop strategies for escaping the family and escaping the place where we grew up. So when I read this book, I found it very resonant to something that was going on in my mind and my heart. And I found a relevant quote at the end of the first chapter. Luckily, it was not too far in. The novel's central character is named Sida Lee. She's a 12-year-old girl growing up on this Louisiana plantation called, of all things, Pecan Grove, because it has a lot of pecan trees. The author shares her reflection. "I have this dream about Edith Spivey and me. We're on the swing that hangs from the pecan tree in our backyard. We're swinging this just right rhythm. We're swinging high, flying way up, higher than in real life. And when I look down, I see all the ordinary stuff. Our brick house, the porch, the tool shed, the back windows, the old drum barbecue pit, the clothesline, and the chinaberry tree. But in my dream, they are all lit up from inside. So their everyday selves have holy sparks in them. And if people could only see those sparks, they'd go and kneel in front of them and pray. And that'd make them feel good. Somehow the whole world looks like little altars everywhere. And every time Edith and me fly up into the air and then dive down to earth, it's like we're bowing our heads at those altars, and we're playing and praying all at the same time." I was very pleased that I had easily found the intended focus of the sermon topic that I had been given. But there was a surprise. When I mentioned how well it fit the topic, to the person who had asked for it, she confessed she knew absolutely nothing about the novel. She was talking about her experience of finding shells on the seashore, her experience of walking among huge trees in the mountains, her experience of finding round rocks that she would take home and put on what she might have called her altar. So maybe I should back up and do a little bit more, a broader focus. As Frank Schulman mentions, in human societies over thousands of years, there are common patterns of the leaders of tribal groups constructing stories, myths, and rituals to try to find meaning, to connect their human experience of limited power and limited lifespan with some kind of transcendent awareness of something bigger, that epiphany I mentioned earlier. Religious anthropology seeks to answer the question, how do humans transcend ordinary daily life to interact with something that's essentially beyond or separate from our ordinary five senses? Some of us have talked about sixth sense, something that we feel makes the hair on our neck sort of come up. But we know there are five senses. And we know that groups of humans always seem to try to create rules and rituals to construct patterns of behavior to include special events, special dietary limitations, prayers, songs, places, sacrifices. Those places or objects or seasonal transitions or animals and individuals may be used as focal points, which are somehow elevated, made sacred, or forbidden for us to interact with because they're too powerful. In many societies, ritual authority may be assigned to individuals, to groups or families as the priest, of which when I wear this symbol, you may think, oh, he's trying to be a priest. Well, I'm letting you know that I'm aware of the power of the symbol. And of course, the Cohens of ancient Israel were a chosen family of priests to minister to those in their communities, to be the intermediaries between Yahweh, the God of weather and thunder and lightning and everything else, and the ordinary humans. Scholars and archaeologists have also identified common practices and places of sacrifices of harvests or animals or enemies or even literal scapegoats, chosen animals or members of particular families or enemies who are chosen to take on whatever burdens of guilt may exist in the community. These places where such rituals or sacrifice were performed are seen as thresholds, as liminal boundaries between the secular, the ordinary, and the sacred or transcendent, the ultimate. So, getting down to business, what is an altar specifically? Well, I have to go back as an old person to Britannica instead of the web per se. I don't ask Wikipedia, I try to ask Britannica. I trust it more. In religion, Britannica says an altar is a raised structure or place that is used for sacrifice, worship, or prayer. Altars probably originated when certain localities, be it a tree, a spring, or a particular stone, came to be regarded as holy or inhabited by spirits or gods whose intervention could be requested or solicited by the worshiper. The worshiper's gifts to please those gods were placed on an altar nearby those holy places. In primitive religions, a stone or heap of stones or a mound of earth was probably sufficient for this purpose. With the development of the institution of sacrifice in sanctuaries and temples, more elaborate altars were built of stone or brick, in which the sacrifice was killed and its blood channeled off or its flesh burned. The altars originally used in ancient Israel apparently consisted of rectangular stones with a basin hollowed out of the top. The four corners of the basin were projections, or looking like horns, which came to be regarded as the altar's holiest part, so that anyone clinging to those parts was protected from persecution. The altars used elsewhere in the Middle East range from small upright stands for burning incense to one great rectangular stone altar built in those Egyptian temples that we have found. The ancient Greeks built altars at the entrances and the courtyards of their houses, in marketplaces, in public buildings, and in sacred groves in the countryside. Lofty, imposing altars were used for powerful gods such as Zeus or Athena, while lower altars were more suitable for domestic deities like Vesta and Demeter. Roman altars are similar. The earliest Christians, those, used neither temples nor altars in their worship, which I found was interesting. It was usually because earliest Christians did their services in private homes. But by the 3rd century, they took on the altars for the Eucharist as a specific site. And when the Christians began to build churches, a wooden altar table was placed near the choir. Those altars eventually became built of stone, and remains of martyrs or saints were customarily reburied beneath them. We know that in Shinto, there are shrines, not altars per se, which are built to house the kami, the essence of spirit present in natural phenomena, in objects, and in human beings that is worshipped by Shinto practitioners of Japan. Reverence toward the kami is kept by regular practice of rites and rituals, purification, prayers, offerings, and dances, which are often done at shrines. But let's go more toward our own experience in this continent to our sainted Ralph Waldo Emerson again. He and his cohort, Henry David Thoreau, were central figures in development of non-institutional Unitarian American Transcendentalism, because they shared a conviction that despite the then dominant institutional Christian dogma, humans do not need altars per se. They do not need to construct buildings per se, because humans may use direct conduits to the divine. In his long-form essay, Nature, Emerson argued the natural world is a living symbol of spiritual truth, and everything can be an altar in nature. To Emerson, the individual should and could bypass institutional religion and encounter the ultimate or the divine firsthand through attentive, reverent engagement with the unspoiled landscape. He constructed the imaginary construct of a transparent eyeball to dissolve the self into a universal spirit, revealing the essential unity between human beings, the secular, and nature and the divine, without any definition, separation between the secular and the sacred. There's no necessity to designate a transitional mechanism, no requirement of sacrifice at any altar, merely a conscious focus on the experience of nature itself. Thoreau, of course, as Emerson's protege and ally, embodied this principle in his practice at Walden Pond. He, of course, spent most of his awake time outdoors. He segregated himself from his society by living in his little tiny cabin, which was about twice as big as this pulpit, for just a year and a half or so, a little less. But in Walden, he described his year of retreat into the woods as a deliberate removal of societal distractions to live deliberately and fully perceive life's spiritual essence without any filter, without any resort to anything beyond what is immediately accessible in nature. For Thoreau, the rhythms of the seasons, the stillness of the pond, or the call of a loon were not mere sensory pleasures, but sacred communications, signs of an immanent divinity accessible to anyone who's attentive. Both Emerson and Thoreau rejected the notion that sacred truth required mediation by clergy or scripture. Instead, they saw nature as scripture itself, an open, ever-renewing testament. And their shared vision to walk in the woods with an open heart was to worship in a cathedral with an infinite number of natural altars, not built by human hands, but by the divine itself. And I believe that that is why you have this meandering little path over here between the buildings, to remind us, if we just take a few moments, that nature is here. Nature is everywhere. And because nature is everywhere, the divinity is everywhere. The transcendent is within our conscious awareness if we just let ourselves be conscious. Now, this congregation has probably heard this kind of sermon, well, I don't know, 200 or 300 times in the past 50 years. Let's see, you've been around since about 1959, so it's a long time. And there have been a lot of sermons preached from this pulpit or the pulpit that was over there or the one that existed before either of these buildings. What is it that separates us? We don't need altars. We just need awareness of the wildflowers, of the stones, of the seashells, of the sound of the sea, of the wind that blows through the trees, the light that comes from lightning, or the dawn, or the cold, cool light of the moon. We can find the divine without resort to altars, because there are little altars everywhere. Thank you for your attention this morning. Let's see. Please join us in singing our closing hymn, which is number 1020, Wo Ya Ya. Stand as you are willing, able, and comfortable. Each time we come together, we move. We move with the words we hear. We move with the music we hear. We move with the light of the chalice which, like us, flickers and flutters from side to side, moving constantly yet tethered to its source. We ask for the chalice itself to be extinguished now, not as a symbolic ritual, but as a practical ritual. We must do this because the flickering, fluttering light of our congregation is carried not just by these visible flames, but within each of us here present, and also those not present today, those who have left this community long ago, never to return, those who will return, and those who have yet to arrive. So we are so grateful for your presence this morning. And I invite Jill Rose to come and extinguish our chalice for us. Oh, done. Well, I wasn't looking. Okay. We are so grateful for your presence this morning. For those of you who have joined us on YouTube, after the postlude will be ending our live streaming service. We are so blessed to have you here with us and look forward to seeing you physically here or online or with us here on Bering Drive. And may we, in the course of our week to come, be able to feel the liberating freedom of our religious path together. Our closing benediction, I want to officially and explicitly recognize that many of us gain religious experience from visual art, from beautiful music. And that's why I sing in the choir, because I get uplifted by singing and by music of all kinds. And I want to thank those who bring us such wonderful music week after week, time after time. Thank you. And my blessing today, my benediction, my good word for this service, I want to share the lyrics of one song that may strike you as a piece of the epiphany that I wanted to talk to you about today. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed days, the dark, sacred nights. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? And they're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Don't forget it. We are part of a wonderful world.